edition of What's Your Decision? My name's Genji, and this is all thanks to our friends at Max Hotel and Zoom Bowling. I'm joined by the great man, Dwayne Connell. Thanks for joining us, mate.
No worries. Good to be here.
How are you sort of coping during this period of COVID-19, mate? I know teaching is your game. How have you had to adapt on that front, mate? Are you spending more time in front of the laptop than what you used to?
Yeah, in front of the laptop all day now. It's definitely a different way of doing things, but we're all adapting and getting through it well and staying safe, which is good. That's the most important thing.
Fantastic, mate. Are you yourself sort of getting out and doing a little bit of training from time to time, mate?
Yeah, my aim every day is to get out and do something, whether it's be a walk or a run, just get outside. I have to get away from the computer. Really important.
Fantastic, mate. Well, we're into the second edition of What's Your Decision, and last one went off really, really well. We're going to showcase this week's footage, and here it is for you now.
This one I think is a pretty obvious one, but it has created some controversy this week. But the free kick is to the Melton Centrals player for the Woodend player taking out his legs. So it's contact below the knees.
Now in this case here, we've seen Jimmy come in and slide in with his legs. It's probably not the most common sort of free kick to be paid in this case here, because we're used to players sort of going in with their hands. How is this sort of different when you have a player sort of sliding with their knees and taking out the opposition player with their knees in the process?
Yeah, so from an umpire's point of view, that's a dead giveaway. So the moment that a player slides in with his legs or her legs, then they're not really contesting the ball. They're actually trying to take the player out first before they get to the ball. Now, even if he was to get to the ball first and make contact with the ball, the fact that he slid in with his legs then makes it prohibited contact, and it's classed as being a dangerous contact. So therefore, the free kick has to be paid to the Melton Centrals player. Our job is to protect the players and their safety, and this rule was brought in, I think, in about 2012 to protect the knee injuries that were occurring in the game.
Is it a hard decision to pay? I'll look at this, looking at the footage here. A night game, potentially slippery conditions, bit of dew on the ground. Is it harder to pay these decisions in the wet as opposed to dry conditions?
I suppose they actually get paid more in the wet because that's when players do go to the ground and they do slide in. So it makes it more difficult because you're actually a lot of the times penalising a guy that's making the effort for the ball, so they're diving on the ball, but again, our job is to protect them as well because they're putting themselves in danger into someone's legs, but protecting the guy's legs that are actually going towards the contact as well. But so yeah, to answer your question, it does definitely, because it's in a night game like this, your vision's not as great when everyone's on the ground. It's harder to see those sorts of things. It's probably harder when they go in from the side. Mm-hmm. But when they go in with their legs like this, as I said, that should be an instant thing for an umpire to go, okay, they've gone in with their legs first. We've got to make, if there's any contact, that's a free kick.
In a hypothetical sense, the ball goes out of bounds and then the contact's made. Are you still in a position to pay the free kick, or once the ball's out of bounds, it's dead, the contest is over?
No, I would still deem that would be part of the contest, just because once the ball goes out, the ball might be dead, but the contest is still happening. So once the contact's made, that's still part of the previous contest. So the free kick will still be paid.
Now, when you're coaching the umpires on a Wednesday night, sort of giving them advice, what are you telling them to sort of look for, and what sort of positioning, particularly in this situation here where the ball's close to the boundary line, where are you sort of directing them to be whether it be a 2-umpire system or a 3-umpire system?
Yeah, so, and that's the important thing to get a free kick like this, to be able to see the contact, is the umpire really needs to be in the right position, and they've got to work hard. They've got to be able to trigger really hard out towards the boundary line on an angle so they can see through that contest. If they're just running behind the contest, then they're going to be looking at bums, and they're not really probably going to be able to tell who made the contact first or who initiated the contact. Where if you side onto this contest or pushing out on the angle and you can see through it, you can clearly see the Woodend player make the initial dive to the ground to slide into the Melton Centrals player.
Since the rule was introduced a few years ago, have you found that the umpires in the Riddell Umpires Association have been able to pay these decisions a bit easier, or has it taken a little bit more time to adapt? Because it was a rule that sort of was literally brought on without too much discussion following an AFL season.
Yeah, I think it's one of those rules where, as I said before, you're penalising sometimes the player that's going for the ball, so it causes that confusion and angst with the players because they're like, hang on a minute, I've got the ball, I went for the ball. But I think once you see examples like this, and that's what we do, we go through some examples to show clearly what is a free kick, what's not a free kick. Like if you're trying to smother a ball, for instance, that's not a free kick. If you're going for a mark and you take out somebody's legs, that's not a free kick. It's when the ball's in a contest on the ground that if a player slides in and takes out a player's legs, and that's where we're looking for that free kick. But yeah, so it's definitely wasn't an easy free kick to pick up, and it's been a little bit of a transition for that. But I think most guys get it right now. Most of the times when I see this paid, it's pretty accurate. People umpires don't generally pay it over umpire this free kick. So if it gets paid, it's generally pretty obvious in there.
Yeah, and look, the reality is at the end of the day, we want to discourage players from diving into the ball because realistically, you don't take the player out. In that case, you dive on the ball, then the player that you narrowly missed taking out jumps in from the side and locks the ball in. Well, you've given away prior opportunity. You could be pinged for holding the ball anyway. So probably with a rule like this, it actually discourages players for diving in and sliding in to a contest. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. And as I said, even if they get the ball, they can still be penalised. So even if they're first to the ball, that doesn't even really make a difference. They can be first to the ball and then and still be penalised for making the contact with the leg after they've even got the ball.
Sensational. Beautifully put, mate. This is the latest edition of What's Your Decision? Dwayne, thanks so much for joining us on the show, and we look forward to catching up with you later on throughout the year.
No worries. Thanks, Jeannie.